After months of anticipation, we were finally on the road to France. Ahead of schedule, we decided to make a quick detour into Folkestone for some refreshments, to see if we could keep the Grey Twins happy. It seemed to do the trick, and in no time at all we'd boarded the shuttle and were speeding our way along underneath the English Channel. The journey down was an absolute breeze, and in a little over 3 hours we'd arrived at our destination, Champagne Carping's Les Lacs de Verger. We were welcomed by owner Rob and wasted no time in going for a recce around the lake before we had the draw to determine who was going to get which pegs. Steve was up first and opted for the gravel swim, fairly central and commanding quite a lot of water. Jay and Jamie were out next and opted for the Dust Bowl and the Perches swims down at the southeast end of the lake. This worked out perfectly for me, so despite coming out fourth in the draw, I still ended up with my preferred choice of swim, the Islands. This gave me access to a decent amount of water in a large bay in the north of the lake, with abundant features, marginal reeds, little channels, and of course the two main islands in the lake, which provided great features to fish too. This had to be the one for me. And last but not least, Ollie chose the chef's swim, perfect as he was doing our cooking for the week. Again, a nice central swim which commanded a good amount of water with plenty of opportunity for fishing the far bank. With the swim choices made, it was time to set up my mansion for the week, and then wasting no time I got the bait boat and the deeper out so I could have a good scan round of the swim in front of me, see if I could find some likely looking spots and just generally get a good indication of the nature of the lake bed. With the spot chosen and the bait trot, it was time to sit back and see what the evening would bring. Around 10 PM I got a decent take on my right hand rod. After a short battle, I soon had the culprit in the net. Unfortunately, not a carp to begin with, but a baby catfish, probably around the 8 pound mark. The rods were quiet then until first light, when I got another take and the action really began to kick off. So there we go, first carp from Verger. It's a PB and not just a 30, but we've broken the magic 40. £41 on the nose.
Yeah, got my boat. Well done, dude.
Absolutely brilliant. So chuffed with that. £41, one of the commons as well. Absolutely belting first fish, that is. Happy days. There we go. What a fish. And away she goes. Get in. Around the same time, Jay had got in on the action and landed this lovely common of £33. I nipped down to go and help out with some photos. With a bit of hindsight, however, I realised I should have known better than to venture that far from my rods. Bobbin had pulled up tight to the rod and I thought I might have missed my chance, so I gave it a bit of slack just to see whether there was anything still there. That was madness.
You definitely woke up, mate. It's a really good sign, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sound, mate.
Sound?
Well done, dude.
Was it? Cheers, mate.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my rod sorted.
So, second carp, not long after the first. 23.11. A bit smaller, but a mirror, and they all count. Brilliant. Just a couple of hours later, my middle rod was away, and I was into another fish. Another one in the net. Another little mirror. I lost 2 more fish on Saturday afternoon to hook pulls. Steve, however, in the next swim managed to keep the dream alive, landing 3 mirrors of £23, £21 and this one at £38, which made all his efforts at the gym look like a complete waste of time.
Yeah. Oh, why is it every... Oh, that really hurt. I thought you'd go to the gym. I know, yeah, she's fucking knocked me out. Oh. Put some water on it.
Magic word?
Yeah, just over.
No magic word.
Okay.
No, please.
Please, sorry. Just stressing a bit.
Magic word, okay.
Sorry.
What a fucking cunt.
Sorry.
Magic word, okay.
Sorry. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Not wanting to be outdone, it was Ollie's turn, and after a strange battle, successfully landed a load of branches and sticks. Well done, mate. Just as we finished our barbecue, Jamie's rods, which had been quiet for the first 24 hours, sprung into action as he got a screaming take and hooked into a decent fish. Fighting really hard deep down in the margins, it became apparent that this wasn't a carp, but one of the lake's bigger catfish. Unfortunately for Jamie, this one wasn't to be, as it made a dart for the marginal snags and managed to shed the hook. Bite time kicked off at 4 AM Sunday morning, as I was woken up by an absolute one-toner. After a really good scrap, I had the fish in the net. Time for some photos. And what was becoming really apparent here was that the fish always seemed to manage to keep a little bit back to make sure that they could give you an absolute beating on the bank. Oh, there we have it. Bite time, 4 AM. And this one is £27, 1 ounce. Just a couple of hours later, me and Steve got a take within 30 seconds of each other, resulting in the perfect double hookup as the sun rose over the horizon.
Kitty!
Jump in that. Jump. Do we get the net for you?
Fine. Coming in though, like slow.
Yeah. Not quite ready yet, is he?
Yes, sir.
In the bag.
This fucker's gonna go mad.
Buzzing, double hookup.
Double hookup.
A cool little ghosty for Steve, coming in at £23 on the nose. And then it was time to have a look at the lump of a mirror that lay waiting in my net.
I've got shit load there. You go sorry.
No,
Yeah. Oh, it's 2 pounds.
Fucking bigger than the common.
You keep it. Fuck back in. Move your back to it. It's got everything to do both sides now.
well, that is one fat mirror. Another new PB, £42.12. That's a brace of 40s in 2 days. A mirror and a common. What a place. Absolutely beat me up, this one did. And away. With the sun out and 2 PBs in the bag, the vultures were circling, and I knew it wouldn't be long until the inevitable buckets of lake water arrived.
We're gonna get some soap in a sock and beat you as well.
Yeah?
Actually, you should. Yeah, that'll warm me up. Warm up. PB time.
Well, guess this is what I get for two PBs.
Well done, mate.
Worth every second.
In your face! Well done, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Well done.
Nice one.
See you later.
See you later. Yeah. Wicked. The next couple of hours saw a flurry of activity. Ollie had his first fish of the trip, a lovely common of £32, closely followed by Jay, who managed to land this beautiful £38 mirror in the margins. Of course, Steve had to then go one better and took the lead in the biggest fish competition, with this stunning mirror at £45.5 exactly.
That's a fucking chunk, look at that.
Yeah.
Get
Well
in
done, mate.
there!
With 6 fish on the bank between us before 9 AM, things were looking really good for the second day. Just after 9 AM, I decided to redo my right hand rod with a fresh solid bag and got it back out on the spot, primed and ready. Just 10 minutes later, it was away.
Yeah.
I've been out for like 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Yeah. Oh, fucking stacks of mine.
Rolling on the line, I can feel it. Yeah.
Fucking nets.
Get in.
Well done, mate. That's another good one, that is. Got 30 tons. Beautiful fish though, stunning colours.
Yeah, it looks a bit dark that, doesn't it? Legends, cheers mate.
You alright, mate? You keep like sorting everything out? Or?
Yeah, I'll get sorted and I'll give you a shout in a sec.
Say cheese.
Cheese.
Oh dear, mate.
Buzz it. Cheers. There we go. Lovely mirror, £39 on the solid bag, that one. So that's fish off every rod, off every spot. Buzzing. And away. Just before lunchtime, my solid bag rod was away again, this time resulting in a smaller mirror, one of the more recent stockies at £24 2 ounce.
You're a win.
That'll do. Found the little mirror again. After a day of hauling, we were ready for some beers and some food, so we headed down to the chef's swim to see what Ollie was rustling up for us for that night. Ollie had other ideas as he was into another fish. The distinctive flash of orange in the net told us that Ollie had managed to land one of the lake's most sought after fish. The absolutely stunning big koi, coming in at £32. Surely this was enough to get Ollie to break a smile. There we go, knew you had it in you. After the barbecue, it was my turn for some more action, landing this £41 5oz mirror, and then 10 minutes later, this little stocky at £25.13. Ollie then closed out a productive day's fishing with a £23.5 mirror. Monday morning and bike time kicked off right on cue for Steve in the next swim, with this £42 10oz mirror at 3 AM.
Nice call. How many license you on? How many thoughts you have now? Four?
Four, yeah.
The early morning bite time had passed me by with no action, and then late morning landed a tench on my solid bag rod. After getting the rod back out on the spot, about 20 minutes later it was away again. This time it was most definitely a carp.
That was buzzing. First carp of the third day, and it's another 40. £42.13 that is. So 440 so far. Unbelievable.
I then went on to catch another smaller stocky mirror at £26.7 mid-afternoon on what was proving to be a bit of a slower day for me. Steve was back in action early evening as our barbecue was rudely interrupted by a screaming take and he was into another decent fish. Yes!
Fucking hard, that one bit the rod fucking knocked me off of the tight crook. Do, wouldn't it? Woo! My arm is here.
The scale said £42 5oz, making this Steve's third 40 of the trip, before going on to land another mid-20 mirror around 10:30 that evening. After I lost a decent fish at around 12:30, the morning bite time saw me and Steve in the action again just before 4 AM, with this really nice common for me just under £38, followed by Steve with a £38 mirror. An hour later, shortly after getting back to sleep, I was rudely awakened to come and play cameraman again. Putting aside the obvious lack of sleep, nothing sets you up better for the day than watching Steve getting his head kicked in the dark by an angry £35 common.
Fuck! Ow! 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 Ow!
You love to see it.
No, quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
You got it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking thing was stating me. Get the fuck out of me.
The early morning action didn't stop there, as before 7 AM I had not one but another 2 carp in the net after having a crazy double take.
Fucking mad. Nice fish again, mate. You're having some fucking good ones, you are. Fucking what a week.
Fucking unbelievable, isn't it?
Double takes.
Yeah. Full-time job, mate.
Right?
Full-time job.
Fuck it is. Fucking gilly. Look, we're helping each other out, fishing loads of teams.
That's it, mate.
Fucking hell. I'm really enjoying it actually. It's fucking, even though it's insanity, it's funny, isn't it?
Amazing sport. That's what I want here.
Bang on, I'll give you that.
40 dead.
40 dead. Good man.
40 a day.
You never had nowhere near this amount of bullets.
With the better of the two fish returned, it was time to see what lay in the second net.
Fucking double take. Fucking damn fair, bro.
Oh dear.
Yes!
What a session, eh? What a session.
Oh, amazing, man. What have you had now? 14 fish?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, mate. On for the record. Not even halfway through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mate, you're on for a fucking bonkers week. Yeah. Lucky, innit?
Aye. Fucking hell, that water's cold.
You've got fucking time. Awesome.
There we go. Third fish of this morning and a double take. First one was 40 on the nose. Nice mirror. And then this one's stocky at 24 on the nose. Unbelievable action this is. And away. Get in. Come on.
Whilst I was getting the rods back out, elsewhere on the lake, Ollie had caught another decent mirror at £37. With all the other swims on the lake producing and everyone else getting fish on the bank, it was just Jamie down in the perches swim who was still really struggling. Which is unbelievable really, because much to Jamie's delight, Steve had been down and showed him which spots he should be fishing on, checked his hooks for sharpness, and even given his rigs the seal of approval. Despite Steve's commendation, the fish seemed to be passing Jamie by. In conjunction with the group's unhealthy balance of support and piss taking, the blank was starting to take a toll that no amount of red wine and Pornhub could fix. It wasn't long before a very deflated Jamie came trudging past the back of my peg, with a stalking rod, landing net and bucket of bait in hand, as he headed round the back of the islands to see if he could break the curse, or at least have a little cry in private. Within an hour he reappeared, requesting scales and a photographer, and I was only too happy to oblige. Jamie's perseverance had paid off, landing this £23 mirror stalked out of the margins at close range. The relief and happiness on his lovely little face was plain to see. Oh no, wrong photo. The relief and happiness on his lovely little face was plain to see. Despite all the banter, it's never nice to watch a mate blanking, so this fish was a massive weight off everyone's shoulders. Late morning and Steve was at it again, with another nice mirror coming in at just under £37. The fishing slowed up for the rest of the day, with only Jay managing to put another fish on the bank with this mid-20 mirror. With the evening drawing to a close, bringing with it a new weather front and a change in wind direction, and forecast warmer weather for the following few days, the fish seemed to be on the move, with more shows in the middle and far end of the lake than we'd previously seen. In the 3 AM darkness of Wednesday morning, things seemed to be kicking off in the usual way, with the morning bite time producing a decent run on my right hand rod and hooking into a good fish, only for the hook to pull a short while later. As daylight broke, the lake had a really different feel to it this morning. The mist coming off the water, the clear sky, and the warmth in the air was evident even early on. My swim, however, seemed to switch off, with no fish showing and no more runs throughout the usual morning bite time. The change in wind direction definitely seemed to be pushing the fish out of the bay in front of me. In the next swim, however, Steve was into another fish at around 6:30 in the morning, and I was asked to play cameraman again. Unfortunately, my photos don't really do this one justice, as he just landed the biggest fish of the trip to that point.
47.5 pounder, French. Oh yeah, it is a big fish, isn't it?
47.5, okay.
That's a chunk. Thought when I picked the rod up, you know, when you just don't move them, it's just like, is that a snag or this is a proper chunk? Get in there!
Well done, mate. A short while later, Ollie and the chef swim landed a 21-pound mirror, and then just before 9 o'clock, Steve was in again with this really nice looking mirror at a shade over 41 pounds. Then, as a sure sign that the fish were on the move, Jay was in at the far end of the lake, landing an absolutely stunning 42.12 as common. Whilst I was videoing the release, Ollie decided to tell me what he really thought about me.
Just say to Jim, I don't like these fat ones. Yeah, there's a bit of a gut on them.
How rude. Jay's first 40.
14.
Well done, mate.
Cheers.
Despite having had a successful few days, after a morning of watching everyone else catching whilst my rods were silent, I wasn't happy to rest on my laurels and decided that I needed a bit of a rethink. With the evidence suggesting that the majority of the fish were on the move around the rest of the lake, I began to wonder whether some of the lake's bigger residents may be lingering around to move in on the scraps. And with those thoughts in mind, I decided to change tactics with my right hand rod, keeping the same location in the channel over to my right, which was a perfect ambush point, along with keeping the same solid bag tactics in the hope that just a mouthful would be all that's needed. Where I made changes was to the bait, this time opting for a small popped up quad with a couple of tigers. I hoped that this subtle change would be enough to nick another bite and hopefully be enough to tempt one of the more cautious bigger fish. With the new tactics deployed, I sat behind the rods and enjoyed some of the late morning sun, waiting and wondering whether the gamble would have paid off. The answer would come sooner than I thought, and just 35 minutes later, at bang on midday, the bobbin pulled up tight against a locked up clutch. This felt like a really solid fish. As it came away from the snags and began to kite over to my left, I decided it was time to get some extra line on the deck from my other rods to make sure that nothing got caught up. This was one that I didn't want to lose. With the peace of mind of having the other lines out of the way, I was able to settle in and enjoy the battle with this hard-fighting lump of a fish. With the fish in the net, I could tell that it was a good one, although at this point I was still unaware of just how good it was.
Come on.
That's a 50. It's gotta be. Get it on its side.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's 50, mate. Yeah, it's feet long. Well, so when
That's
it's
fucking massive. That's fucking
This
huge.
is probably one of the biggest ones in the lake, mate. This is fucking huge. Right.
It's gonna go big, mate. That is.
So, just put your hand on the fish. That's it. So you get his hand all the way around it. Get over
While it's here and then. Once a go.
I've got a couple of decent ones, right?
Fucking hell, that's fucking freezing.
I'll tell you, mate. Get the fucking, give it the woo!
Yeah, come on!
Woo! Get in there, son!
Come on!
Well done. Fucking Fucking well done.
Okay.
You're definitely getting pissed now. Brilliant, mate. Fucking I made up for you.
Cheers, man. Thank you. What, that 53? 53 Fucking mate.
And so, with one of the lake's A-team on the bank, one of only a handful of 50s in the lake, I finished the day absolutely ecstatic with a new PB of £53.12 that is surely going to take some beating. I brought the rods in and hit the beers to celebrate, while Steve managed to land this £36.5 common, and Ollie got the party started with some giant tomahawk steaks done on the barbecue. What better way to end the day?
We're both ready. Yeah.
With our bellies full of meat, we hit the red wine as it was time for our Simply Red evening. And from there, things got really weird.
And here we have perfect evidence of a serial killer.
Twilight hour over, there was just time to get an hour or two's kip before getting the rods back out for the morning bike time, where it was back to business as usual. A screaming run at 4:30 AM is always enough to drag you out of a hangover, especially when you find yourself attached to a hard fighting chunk of a mirror like this one.
No way, it's another 40. Look at that. Absolute banger again. 4112 mirror. Off we go.
As daylight broke and the other lads slept off their hangovers, I was in again, with arguably my favourite looking mirror of the trip, coming in at a fraction under £42.
It's been very quiet the last few hours, but just seen a fish bosh out over my right hand rod, just clear out the water, so we'll get the camera on the rods, see if we can catch another take on camera. I'm fairly confident it must have been feeding on that spot, so we'll see what happens.
Despite my optimism, it wasn't to be, as the lake seemed to shut up shop for the day, with no one landing any more fish until the early evening, when Ollie bagged this £34.5 mirror and almost cracked another smile. With the fishing really slowing down, I opted to take the rods out for a good few hours and give the swim a good rest. I then got the rods back out at about 11 PM before getting my head down to get some sleep. I was awoken shortly before 1 AM with a violent take on my middle rod, sending the alarm into meltdown, and quickly found myself connected to an absolute lunatic of a carp. Eventually it drew over the net cord and it was time to have a look at what had landed.
$42.1. Capture. 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 There we have it. 42.1. Yet another 40. Outstanding stuff. This one fought like an absolute demon. Fucking really angry carp, this. But an absolute beauty. Really nice mirror. Just give him a second. What a fish. And the way it goes, probably take out all my other lines. Wicked.
Whilst I hit the hay again, the early hours produced a 26.5 pound mirror for Steve and a 36.5 pound mirror for Ollie, before Steve then went on to land this beauty at 44 pounds. I had to wait till mid-morning till my right hand rod screamed into action again.
So, I think this is just about the smallest one of the trip. £16.8, and it fought like a 30, absolutely turbocharged.
To round out the final day's fishing, late morning saw Ollie land a £22 mirror, shortly followed by Steve with another mirror going just shy of £38. Finally, early evening saw another 40-pounder on the bank for Jay, with this £40 4-ounce mirror making it a brace for him of two 40s, common and a mirror, to round off his trip. And so, as dawn broke on Saturday morning, it was time for the inevitable pack down ready for the drive home. Reflecting on the week's fishing, considering it was still early season and following a poor run of unseasonably cool temperatures in the preceding weeks, as a group we had absolutely smashed it. Myself and Steve had definitely had the hot pegs for the week, landing 36 between us, including the lion's share of the 40s. But with everyone working hard all week to keep the fish coming, we finished up with a total of 50 carp between us. This included an amazing 17 fish over 40 pounds, with another 15 30s and 17 20s, making for some pretty impressive stats and a total of just under £1,700 worth of carp. Top angling, lads. My personal haul totalled 19 carp, with a new PB of £53.12, backed up by 8 40s, 2 30s and 7 20s, ensuring that I drove home with smiles for miles. Despite an amazing week, I just had to leave the rods out for last knockings, with the camera rolling whilst I packed up, in the knowledge that the prolific early morning bite time meant there was every chance of nicking one more final fish from this awesome venue.
Sorry, right? I think we're okay at the minute. Oh, it's full. Yeah.
A hook pull ruining the fairy tale ending.
Oh well. Well, it was bite time, but it wasn't to be. Still two on the dance floor anyway. Didn't feel a bad fish either, unfortunately. Oh well. Well, makes a decision which rod to pat down first anyway.